The word Kabbalah in Hebrew means reception. And again, synchronistically this day, as the date 10/4, I tend to look at it being about reception, about being openness, relating to openness to truth. So Kabbalah was proper reception, the proper state of mind that one needed to be in to receive truth. It's an ancient system of Hebraic esoteric teachings, communicated to initiates through symbols and correspondences. The most well-known and significant aspect of Kabbalistic symbolism is the tree of life, this symbol on the left. It's formed by what's called sephirot, which means emanations. There are 10 of them. And these 10 sephirot or emanations are connected by 22 paths, forming this tree structure. The sephirot corresponds to various aspects of human mental and emotional characteristics. An 11th sphere named Da'at is not considered as one of the sephirot, but rather as the place from which the entire tree of life grows. And Da'at corresponds to the realm of hidden or occulted knowledge. As we'll see when I break down the tarot tradition in the last segment of the presentation, Da'at actually corresponds to the first of the 3 trivium steps: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You could see in the image that Binah corresponds to understanding and Hokmah to wisdom. But these 3 spheres at the top of the tree of life ultimately lead to the crown, which is known as Keter in Kabbalah, and that is the highest expression of consciousness. The Kabbalistic tree has correspondences to the Vedic chakra systems, with each level of the tree corresponding to a different chakra. So the Malkuth or kingdom level of the Kabbalistic tree corresponds to the root chakra. The Yesod or foundation Sephirah corresponds to the sacrum chakra or the desire center. Hod and Netzah correspond to the solar plexus chakra, a dualistic chakra because the will center is comprised of an internal aspect, courage, and an external aspect, will. And then Tiferet in the middle of the Kabbalistic tree corresponds to the heart chakra. And then Geburah and Hesed correspond to the throat chakra. One of these spheres, Geburah, corresponds to working upon yourself and the inner voice that you have to employ to transform inwardly. Whereas Hesed or compassion, that sphere corresponds to influencing other people with your voice. Then, of course, we get up to the higher levels of the tree, which I've already talked about, corresponding to the third eye chakra, understanding and wisdom, and then the crown chakra, unity consciousness. There are 3 pillars or paths on this tree, corresponding to the vertical columns. The left-hand path is known as the pillar of severity and generally deals with the internal aspects of consciousness. The right-hand pillar, the pillar of mercy, generally deals with the external or masculine aspects of consciousness, and the pillar of mildness in the middle represents the synthesis between those 2 paths. There is a order to the sephirot or emanations, and they're labeled as such, with the first sephirah, Keter, being number 1, and then moving in a progression down through Malkuth, which is sephirah 10. And the energy movement on the tree of life corresponds to a being that is moving upward in a state of consciousness from Malkuth, which represents base consciousness and physical world identification, up through the crown chakra. So this is the progression of energy on the tree of life. It works in a lightning bolt pattern. And often the Kabbalistic tree is referred to as the thunderstruck tree. You'll often see it depicted as a tree being struck by lightning because this lightning path represents the path of energy from unconsciousness and worldly identification to enlightened or unity consciousness. Also in the Kabbalistic tradition, Kabbalists refer to what is known as 4 worlds of Kabbalah. And the triangles on the Kabbalistic tree correspond to these worlds. So if you look at the Kabbalistic tree as being 3 sets of 3 spheres joined by paths in triangles, you could look at Keter, Chokmah, and Binah as one of these triangles at the top of the tree. Then you could look at Hesed, Geburah, and Tiferet in the middle of the tree as the second triangle, the second triad of spheres. That represents another world. Then Hod, Netzah, and Yesod representing yet a third world, and then the base Malkuth or kingdom representing a fourth. So these worlds are as follows. Asiyah is the bottom world. It represents the physical plane or the material world. And it corresponds to the alchemical symbol of earth. And there's only one sphere in that world, Malkuth. Again, that's not really progressing. That's staying earthbound, earth-identified, physical world-identified, base consciousness, only dealing with the physical plane. You don't have to look at it as a negative thing. It's just the things that operate in the physical domain. The next world up is Yetzirah, and that's called the formative world or the mental plane corresponding to air or intellect. Again, that's comprised of the 3 spheres, Yesod, Hod, and Netzah in that triangular formation. Above that, you have the creative world, the emotional plane represented by water, and that is the second triangle of Tiferet, the heart chakra corresponding to emotion, Geburah, and Hesed. Then you pass what is known as the line that represents the abyss, that is Da'at, leading to the truly higher realm, which is the realm of will or spirit, symbolized by the alchemical element of fire, and symbolized and comprised of the top triumvirate of the Kabbalistic tree, Keter, crown or unity consciousness, Chokmah, wisdom, basically because it represents right action, it's on the active side of the tree, and Binah, which is understanding and reception. Those are what is known as the 4 worlds of the Kabbalistic tree.